look, I didn't want Leslie involved in Anita's cancer storyline. And I still don't think she's going to be heavily involved with Anita's cancer storyline, but she's definitely about to be a major antagonist to, I think, bring Anita's cancer out to the public. What is up, Beyond the Gates fans? Back with another Sunday video, which I tend to use to talk about this upcoming week's preview and to talk about a lot of y'all's comments over the past week. You guys had some funny comments that were cracking me up this week that I definitely want to get to. So let's jump into this preview first. In the video preview for this upcoming week, the week of February 16th, even though tomorrow there is a rerun, I'm pretty sure. So we only get 4 episodes this week, sadly. But in the first part of the preview, we see Joey getting a phone call from Bill. And Joey is thinking that Bill is calling because the Duprees need help again, because that's usually when Bill is calling Joey. But Bill says, no, it's not about the Duprees, it's about his family. So I don't know if this is Bill concerned about maybe Haley's mugger. That's kind of what I got from this preview, maybe. That if Elon's not doing a good job of finding the mugger that allegedly attacked Haley, maybe Bill can get help from Joey. Maybe Joey has some word on the streets about who that mugger might be. Joey getting involved with the storyline is probably some bad news for Haley and Lynette, and especially Randy. And I do believe Joey is going to put a little pressure on Haley and Randy later this week. So we'll see how that all goes. Joey, as I say, sometimes can be a little too one note to me. I don't love that Joey can sometimes be involved in a little too many storylines for my liking. But I'm open-minded over this next week as to what is going to play out between Bill and Joey, and probably Haley and Lynette. Also in the preview, we see Jacob arguing with his daddy Elon at the police station because of this undercover job, probably. Elon is asking Jacob what he wants, and Jacob is saying he wants some damn respect. This whole undercover mission for Jacob does seem like it is about getting respect from Elon and becoming a better cop. I do feel as though the writing needs to accomplish the goal of making Jacob actually look like a better cop, or at least, a smarter cop from what we've seen from him over the past year of the show. But at that same time, they do probably need to give us some stakes in this story. And I do think there's probably going to come a point where Jacob is in trouble in this story, or maybe Smitty will be in trouble in this story. Somebody has to be in danger at some point in this story to make it more dramatic and just raise the stakes. So I'm looking forward to how they're going to balance those things with the Jacob undercover story. Then in the preview, we see Jacob telling Naomi that she might not hear from him for a while because he is moving out. Clearly, Jacob is maybe doing this to protect Naomi from his undercover mission. I am hopeful that if they are going to continue to keep Jacob and Naomi apart, and they've written them as having problems for months and months now, and Naomi is going through this whole cancer gene thing where she doesn't want to tell anyone, Naomi needs to get close to somebody else on this show. Like, I don't know if it needs to be a full-blown affair, but maybe a full-blown emotional affair. I think if any other soap opera was doing this, it would probably be Isaiah, Jacob's brother, to give us that little juicy love triangle, because soap operas love a love triangle when 2 people in it are brothers or 2 people in it are sisters. I can definitely see that, but it doesn't have to be Isaiah. It could be somebody else on canvas. But I just think clearly Naomi and Jacob have had problems for months, and they've written it that way, and now they're going to have more of a struggle because Jacob's he's getting thrown deep into his work. Naomi's going through a little crisis in her own mind, and we're going to see where they take Naomi. I think even though we already had an affair storyline because of Vanessa and Doug and Joey, And even, the Danny and Bill and Andre love triangle has a bit of that too. I think they could still have a different take on it where Naomi is concerned, and maybe it will make the character of Naomi more interesting and watchable to me. Also, in the preview, Randy is telling Lynette that if he goes down, she and Haley are going down with him. We saw tension with Randy and Lynette over this past week. They have a history. They either used to date or just hook up a lot. I'm just glad to see Randy getting into yet another storyline. But also, anyone that watches me knows I love Lynette. So just saying that she's going to be on again over this next week is going to automatically make the week better for me. I am a Lynette stan, I fear. And I think I will be defending her for the foreseeable future, even though she is a baddie, and she's a baddie. But even though she is a baddie, I think that at some point the fan base is going to turn on her, because this fan base has turned on almost every character so far at some point. But I might still be defending her whenever that happens. I just think that Lynette can really be a dangerous villain the way she is already. Like, I think there's a lot of danger to her. There's a big possibility of that going forward. Also in the preview, Danny is asking Nicole why they can't swap bedroom stories like other sisters, and Nicole is saying it's because Danny is with her nephew. Duh, Danny. I think Nicole is right about that. Danny has always been pressing Nicole about her love life and her sex life, and it is very awkward if Danny talks about hers, because Andre was Nicole's nephew for so long when she was married to Ted. It is an awkward situation. And then lastly in the preview, we see Anita fainting while they're with Leslie, and Anita might have been arguing with Leslie, so Leslie's going to get a lot of heat this week from the fan base. But I didn't want Leslie involved in Anita's cancer storyline. And I still don't think she's going to be heavily involved with Anita's cancer storyline, but she's definitely about to be a major antagonist to, I think, bring Anita's cancer out to the public. I think Leslie's going to play a role in that, and it's going to keep that feud alive. So honestly, I like the preview. There's a lot of Jacob undercover stuff in the preview, and I don't know how much of it we're going to see. Hopefully too much of it doesn't take place off screen, as we talk about a lot. But I think this preview is looking good for this next week of February sweeps. Gonna go to some of y'all's comments. Barbara Gregg said, looks like Derek had his batteries charged today and was animated today. This was the scenes with Leslie. I think Derek is just a more viable character than Ashley. Anytime Derek has scenes with someone that isn't Ashley, they're actually kind of entertaining. And you can't say the same for Ashley. But also, I think that Trisha Mann Grant, who plays Leslie, brings out the best in people too. Because we see that with Joey. I talked about that this past week. And I think she brought out some more personality out of Derek. Bookchella said, I want to know what Joey has on Leslie. The show seems to have forgotten about that plot point. Yeah, the show will bring up some plots and then drop them for a long time. They do tend to come back to them. So I think they're just going to make that a slow burn with this blackmail that Joey has on Leslie. Someone in the comments also continues to mention Peaches and how that storyline is just going nowhere. And that's another one that they are taking their sweet, precious time with. Bookchella also said, Anastasia and her spawn are obnoxious. I loved it. Give the Duprees some rivals. I do like that the Duprees might have some rivals on the horizon, but I still don't think that two characters can take on the whole family. So they're going to have to expand on Anastasia and Francesca if the Duprees are going to have a real rival family. Carolyn Wilson said, Lynette is going to be Haley's downfall, and I can't wait. I also think that Lynette is going to play a major role in Haley's downfall, whether it's on purpose or accidental. I think Lynette coming to town is going to be a problem. There was somebody else in the comments, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it, that had mentioned that I'll look for it while I'm going over these other comments that I already highlighted. Divine Trivia said June saw Lynette with Haley's engagement ring. Busted. Yeah, that could be a that June can play. Right now, they're kind of having June be a character that is like a little involved here, a little involved there. You know, her storyline with Samantha and Tyrell has kind of run its course. I mean, she's still going to be in their lives, but like the whole tension in that storyline is kind of long gone. So right now they kind of have June involved with the Impaler the other day randomly. She knew who the Impaler was and knew that Jacob and Smitty were talking about the Impaler. And now maybe she's also going to be somehow involved in ratting out Lynette and Haley, possibly. Rodney Herring said, Bill and Danny have two daughters together. That's why Bill said, Where's my wife? The audacity, I loved it. He just ran over Andre. Bill and Danny are toxic. I love it. Yeah, Bill with that audacious comment to Andre, Where's my wife? Was wild. It was one of the more wild parts of this past week. Danny and Bill are definitely toxic, and I think Andre is going to have a very hard time being caught in the middle of that. I think he's already having a hard time. He's trying not to be a simp for Danny, but he is still being one. Like, he just wants to make Danny happy. But I think that maybe Andre doesn't realize that Danny is still kind of a broken person because of her marriage to Bill, and I don't think she's ever really had the therapy to really be able to maybe have that happy relationship with Andre like Andre is trying to make happen. I found the comment I wanted to read. Pam Allen said, Lynette told Haley that maybe one day Bill will buy her a mansion. That leads me behind the gates. That leads me to believe Lynette will eventually try to seduce Bill. That's kind of where I'm hoping the story goes. I don't know how the Haley poisoning Bill storyline is going to play out, but I'm hoping that maybe Bill will eventually give up on Danny after they stop their toxic dance. And then Bill cheats on Haley with Lynette because it keeps that pattern alive for Bill. And frankly, for me, it makes Lynette an even bigger character on the show, which is what I want. Because as Devin said in the comments, I am a mark for Lynette. A. Smith said, I believe Lynette has her own agenda and wanted to hit Haley for real. Yeah, I think there was a little anger in Lynette's punch to Haley. I don't know exactly why, because I think Haley has been trying to play nice with Lynette and actually trying to see that Lynette means well and that she can trust Lynette. But maybe something happened in their past that has Lynette feeling some kind of way about Haley. Al Michelle said, so we meet Francesca, who we heard of once from an auxiliary character, but we still haven't met Deanna. Yeah, I thought the actress that's playing Francesca was actually going to be Vanessa's daughter, but that is not the case, and I kind of wish it was the case, even though I know some people want the rival family to the Duprees. I need something to happen in Vanessa's storyline to make me give a shit. Amber Lynn said, now can we see Vanessa's daughter? Apparently not, Amber. Apparently not. Hemi said, Nicole and Kyle were the best part of today's episode, and a salty Carlton was the cherry on top. I'm glad we got to see the cracks in Carlton's phony perfect facade. Yeah, Hemi's been saying that about Carlton for a long time in the comments, that Carlton just acts too perfect, and we are starting to see that crack in that alleged perfection of Carlton's. And it's been good to see because it has actually given him a personality, which is more than you can say for some other character on this show. And we all know who that AI character is. Vern Luxon says, Nicole and Kyle are great together. They have great chemistry. I do like Nicole and Kyle. I still don't see the same heat that I saw those first two episodes back in December with their chemistry, but I do still like them. Alicia said, Tomas actually showed a dim flicker from a brain maybe coming slowly to life. Guess he's getting caught up in the Haley and Lynette mess, but I like your take on Slow-Mo's ultimate fate. Yes, if Tomas is going to be nosy with the Haley and Lynette storyline, here's hoping Haley, Lynette, or Randy kill off Tomas. That's what I would like to see. Speaking of Randy, the actor that plays him, shout out to Maurice P. Carey, commented in one of my videos when I called Randy slow. Well, I said slow ass Randy. Maurice P. Carey said it's because Randy isn't slow. So he's saying that Randy isn't slow. Randy really does know what's going on. I hope that is the case because I still want Randy to eventually be the one that takes down Joey. I feel like that has been a way that the show has been building up the Joey and Randy dynamic since day one, well, since week or 1 or 2. So I would like to see that. I'm hoping Maurice P. Carey saying that in the comments means Randy is actually going to start being smarter about things than he has been in the past. Here's hoping that Randy isn't slow. I also don't know if other actors watch my videos. I just hope whoever plays Tomas doesn't. And if he does, I'm sorry. Linda Thornton says, I can't believe Bill does not see Haley as a con, but sees Lynette as one. Bill is a dummy. I think Bill doesn't see Haley's con because, you know, she drops that puss on him and then he gets blinded from all of that. But maybe he does see through Lynette. If Bill continues to see through Lynette, I don't know if Lynette's going to have an easy time trying to bed him in the future like I was hoping. Pam Allen said, what about Peaches? Is she still laying up in the hospital bed? She must have some good insurance. Yeah, like I said earlier, Pam, the Peaches storyline seems to be moving at that same pace of Haley poisoning Bill. Peaches is just clinging on for dear life and I guess staying alive. I'm assuming the writers don't know where to go with the Peaches storyline. That's what I get from that storyline, honestly. Linda Price says, Bill's dumber than a box of rocks, and that's an insult to a box of rocks. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why Bill can be so dumbed down when it comes to Haley, but he is. Devin cracked me up with this comment. He was quoting Bill when Bill saw Danny on a live stream. Devin said, I just got a notification Nick is on a live stream. I got to see what this is about. I've said Bill's quote almost exactly to my wife. As I said in the comments, I am honored to be your Danny Dupree. Devin, that is an honor. Last comment I have time for. Let me see. V Free asked, OCG, can you talk about on Sunday why Lynette told Haley that Bill was a mark? I think you were asking about Haley's not wanting to talk about that with Lynette, or you said it baffled Haley and she couldn't really get into it. I feel like Haley is trying to have the optics to Lynette that Bill is not her mark and that she's just really in love with Bill this time and that this is not one of her scams, because if Lynette figures out that Haley and Randy are trying to kill Bill, then Lynette's gonna either want to get in on it or blackmail them with that. And so I think that Haley doesn't want Lynette to see that Bill really is Haley's mark, and that's why she had the reaction that she did. But Bill is definitely a mark for Haley, like I am for Lynette. So that's how I feel on these past week of episodes. We'll see what the next week brings. Only 4 episodes coming up this week because they like to put reruns on the holiday for this show for whatever reason. But I think we might have a solid week in store, or at least that's my wishful thinking.